Hey y'all, welcome back. We are going to do an example of polynomial long division. Long division, like what you remember from elementary school, and then polynomials are just the bigger functions, okay? So just before we start, just a quick little vocabulary lesson. The top of your fractions or the part that you're going into for your division problem is called the dividend. The bottom part of your fraction or what you are dividing by is called your divisor, okay? Because I'll be using those words when we do parts of these, all right? So what you have to remember when you are setting this up, your dividend will go on the inside, your divisor will go on the outside, okay? What you cannot do is skip exponents. What do I mean by that? Well, if you look, this right here starts with a 4. That means we need to have an x to the fourth, an x cubed, an x squared, an x to the first, and an x to the 0. Okay, we have an x to the fourth. We do not have an x cubed, so we need to remember to have a place value holder for that. Okay, we have an x squared, we have an x to the first, and we have an x to the 0. Remember, anything to the 0 power is 1, so that would look like a constant. Okay, so what we do to have our placeholder is when we write this and set it up, we're going to do 3x to the fourth plus a 0x cubed. That way we're not changing the value of our function, but we still have a place for our x cubes. Plus 7x squared. We have all the other pieces, so we can just copy everything. Minus x plus 12. And like I said, your divisor goes on the outside. X plus 2. Okay, so this is how you're going to set up all of your problems. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to do 4 steps, and we are going to just repeat those 4 steps for every piece underneath our sign, for every piece of our dividend. Okay, and the way you do that is step one, we are going to take the first term of our divisor and we're going to multiply it by something to get the first term of our dividend. So I'm going to set it up like this. The first term of our divisor is an x times something, we'll figure out what that something is going to equal the first term of our dividend. Okay, so keeping that, we've got first term, and then we're going to make it become 3x to the fourth. What do we multiply x by to get 3x to the fourth? Well, we have to multiply it by a 3, right? Because we have to make this 1 become a 3. And then we have to make x become x to the fourth. That's going to be x cubed. Okay? That's step 1. The answer to step 1 is part of our ending answer, our quotient. So I'm going to write 3x cubed up here. The reason I write it there is because I'm going to line up all of my place values. Okay? Step 2, we are going to take the answer to step 1. So we are going to take that 3x cubed and we are going to multiply it by the entire divisor. So we're going to multiply it by this whole thing. To get what we're dividing by, we start with just the first step. But now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply it by the whole divisor. Okay? So we're going to distribute, multiply, and collect like terms, simplify as much as possible. So we're going to look like 3x cubed times x, 3x cubed times x, and then 3x cubed times 2. It's not always necessary to write this part. I'm just don't want you to think I'm skipping any steps, and I want you to see the whole process. Okay? Simplify, so we can multiply the x times the x cubed, and we're going to end up with 3x to the fourth. And then on the second part, we can multiply the 3 times the 2, and we're going to get plus 6x cubed. And that's the end of step 2. Step 3, we're going to take the answer to step 2 and we're going to place it underneath our dividend, lining up our x values. So I've got 3x to the 4th plus 6x cubed. Okay, that's step 3. We're then going to change all of the signs of our answer for step 2. So I'm going to change the positive to a negative. I'm going to change this positive to a negative. And then we're going to collect our like terms. All right. What should always happen is your first term should always cancel, become 0. Just like here, 3x to the 4th minus 3x to the 4th, that's 0. So it cancels. And then we're going to get our new first term, which in this case would be 0 minus 6x cubed. That's negative 6x cubed. And then last but not least, we're going to pull down our next term, plus 7x squared. Okay. So we took the answer to step 2 and we placed it underneath our dividend. Okay. And we changed the signs. We're going to make all of that our step 3. Then step 4 is to simplify and pull down your next term. Now all we're going to do is repeat 1, 2, 3, and 4, repeat those steps for our remaining pieces of our dividend. Once we run out of things to pull down, we're done. So starting with step 1, I take the first term of my divisor, that's x. I'm going to multiply it by something to get the first term of my dividend. Remember, we got rid of this first term, so now we're going to do this is our first term. So I want it to equal negative 6x cubed. Okay, again, just so we keep our color coding, this was the first term of our divisor. This is our new dividend that we have to get to. All right. In order to get to that, we have to multiply by a negative 6, so we get the number part. And then x to x cubed, we have to multiply by an x squared. That's the end of step 1. So I'm going to place that as part of my answer. And then I am going to go on to step 2. Step 2, you take the answer from step 1 and we multiply it by the entirety of the divisor. So the whole thing, x plus 2. Now we're going to distribute and clean up. So negative 6x squared times x. And then a negative 6x squared times 2. Keep cleaning up. So I can multiply the x squared times the x. So I would get negative 6x cubed. And then I can multiply the negative 6 times the 2, and I get negative 12x squared. This is my answer to step 2, and that's going to go underneath my dividend now. So I am going to do negative 6x cubed minus 12x squared. Change your signs. So writing it is part of step 3, and changing the signs is part of step 3. So this negative is going to become a positive, and this negative is going to become a positive. Step 4 is collect your like terms, simplify, and pull down your next term. So I'm going to look at this and go negative 6x cubed plus 6x cubed is 0. That's what we want to happen. It goes away. And then we have 7 plus 12 becomes 19x squared. Pull down my next term, minus x. That's the end of step 4. Okay. I'm still pulling things down, so I have to go again. Ready? The first term of my divisor, times blank equals the first term of my dividend. So first term of your divisor times something equals the first term of your dividend. What do we multiply x by to get 19x squared? We have to multiply it by a 19 so that we can get the number, and then x times another x gives us 19x squared. Okay, that's the end of step 1. That's going to go as part of our answer. So plus 19x. Step 2, take the answer to step 1 and multiply it times the whole divisor, x plus 2. Clean up, simplify, all those good things. 19x times x and 19x times 2. X times x is x squared, so I end up with a 19x squared. 19 times 2 is a positive 38x. That's the end of step 2. So I'm going to take my answer to step 2 now, and I'm going to put it underneath my dividend. So this becomes a 19x squared plus 38x. Change my signs. Positive becomes a negative becomes a negative. That's the end of step 3. Step 4, collect your like terms, pull down your next term if you can. 19x squared minus 19x squared is 0. That's what we want to happen. And then a negative 1, sometimes it's easier to see it if you write it, minus 38 is a negative 39x. And then we have one more term to pull down. This will be the last term. Since we're pulling down the last term, this will be the last time we go through our process, plus 12. Okay, so last time, multiply. What do I multiply the first term of my divisor by to get the first term of my dividend, which in this case is negative 39x. Okay, so first term of divisor, and then first term of my dividend. Okay, so then I am going to figure out what do I multiply x by to get negative 39x. And that in this case is going to be a negative 39. Okay, that's the end of step 1. Step 2, multiply the answer to step 1 by x plus 2, the whole divisor. Okay, distribute and simplify. Negative 39 times x and negative 39 times 2. I can't simplify negative 39 times x, so I just write it as is, negative 39x. And then negative 39 times 2, I can simplify. That becomes a negative 78. That's the end of step 2. So I'm going to take my answer to step 2 now for step 3, take the answer to step 2, and put it under my dividend. Negative 39x minus 78. And change my signs. So this negative is going to become a positive. This negative is going to become a positive. Step 4, I'm going to simplify. Negative 39 plus 39 is 0. 12 plus a 78 is 90. Okay, and I have no more numbers to pull down. I pulled down my 12 last time. I have nothing else to pull down. So that means that this number left over, this is my remainder. Okay, so my final answer is going to look like this. Oh, I didn't put my minus 39 right here. Okay, So my final answer is going to be all of the numbers I put up here, which were all the answers to your step ones every time you did it. So I'm going to do 3x cubed minus 6x squared plus 19x minus 39. Okay, that's part of your quotient, and then you need your remainder. So I'm going to do plus my remainder, 90, over my divisor, which was x plus 2. Remember, your divisor is always the number in the bottom of the fraction or on the outside, so it's by the whole thing. And then this is your final answer. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take steps 1, 2, 3, and 4, and all you do is repeat those steps over and over again until you run out of things to pull down. Okay, let me know if you guys have any questions. Leave a comment, ask for another example, anything like that, and I will see you guys in class. Bye.